Welcome to Global Bones Podcast, where companies cross borders. In today's episode, I'm interviewing someone from the Amazon ecosystem who has created a set of tools to help Amazon brands and agencies scale up across countries. We talk about cultural differences, the importance of localization when selling cross borders, what can we expect for the Amazon A9 in 2024, and obviously a bit of AI. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hello, John. How are you?
Oscar, what's up?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today. This episode is going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to this. Before starting, could you very briefly introduce yourself and just explain the audience what's your background and what made you found ZonGuru?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to talking about everything e-commerce and the global world that we can attack as sellers. So my name is Jon Tilley. I'm the founder and CEO of ZonGuru. We're an operational toolset that helps brands and agencies scale products on Amazon. So everything operationally that you need around your storefront, we have with regards to tech and services. My accent is South African originally, so I was born in South Africa and then moved to London later in life, and I was there for a few years, and then I moved to Los Angeles in 2006, where I'm based now. So I've been in Los Angeles for many years, in terms of how I found ZonGuru, my original career was in digital advertising. That's how I moved from South Africa to London to LA, working with a lot of blue chip brands like Burger King, Gillette, Budweiser, these kind of larger brands, and doing a lot of the digital advertising for them. And then I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, I was in a pretty high flying career that was taking a lot of my time. So I struggled to make the jump with many ideas that I had that just never happened in the 15, 20 years of my first career. But then in 2013, I stumbled into an Amazon conference in Vegas, as you do, and the penny dropped for me. I was like, this is an amazing opportunity to create a product-based business and use my skill set to launch some products on Amazon. So I did that, and within, I think, 8 months, I was successfully live and selling. And pretty soon after that, I got into a position where I could exit the agency world and start the entrepreneur journey, which was fantastic. This was 2014, 2015.
Wow.
And the software at the time, from my perspective, was just, there's a saying in marketing, GIGO, right? Garbage in, garbage out. And I just felt that there was a lot of unnecessary information and incorrect information, and it wasn't visualized in the right way for the key business needs of what was the most impactful thing to drive your Amazon business. And so I had some tech background from my days in advertising, and I started ZonGuru. And it was myself and a business partner, Adam, and he started an education business, teaching people how to scale proper private label brands. That a lot of the talk at that time was like, hey, it's so easy, you can just launch a product and it'll scale. But in essence, if you truly wanted to scale a proper brand, not just a product that you sold on Amazon, but starting to create an actual brand, there was a lot of specific business expertise and experience that we could pass on to our audience. So that's how we took it to market. And we have a global team, a global audience at least, and a global team. We've scaled ZonGuru, and we have software both for individual sellers, and our fastest growing segments are agencies. Typically, agencies that are a little bit, have 20 or more clients are a very good fit for our tool, because we are very good at, doing things in a scalable fashion and providing information in a very efficient, impactful way for the right areas of business to scale. That's our focus. So we're based in the US, and we have a team and a company based in Bulgaria, in Sofia, where my CTO is based, and that's us in a nutshell.
Wow, that's amazing, because like Amazon in the mid 2010, like I mean, your origins, you said that you started the ZonGuru to like 2015-ish. That was easier, like the golden times for Amazon. It's not like today, where we have loads of competition, etc. What do you reckon? I mean, because you have lived across all these like times, what are the differences, and what's important now for an Amazon brand to be able to scale up? What do they need to have in mind, for them to be able to scale? Because I reckon it was easier back then, and now it's not that easy anymore. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I'd say is anybody who's been selling in the space for a long time, I remember when I was starting to sell in 2015, and everyone at the time was like, "Oh, it's so difficult right now. It was so easier a few years ago. This is blah blah blah."
It's always like,
it's always like that. It's like, if you haven't started, the best time to start is today, right? That's kind of the saying. And I would say yes, it is more difficult to sell today. But in making it more difficult, that just means you have to be a little bit smarter about how you attack the markets, and there's more opportunity because the market's bigger. People think it's more difficult. There's a lot of data. You can find the niches, and especially if you're selling in the US, it's a niche within a niche within a niche. And you can find those opportunities, and you can find your niche, and you can be absolutely successful. So it's important that people understand that it's not so hard that you shouldn't start. It's by being a little bit harder actually makes it easier in some ways, because it will stop a lot of people from doing it, right? So certainly I'm more bullish about Amazon now than I ever have been. And I think it's still an amazing opportunity for people to literally change their financial outcome and take control of their time, right? Which is one of the best things that Amazon has ever put in front of us, is this opportunity to literally have a global brand and compete with global brands today, right? So but I do feel that one of the big evolutions that have happened over those last 5 to 6 years is the focus when we originally took products to Amazon was like creating an amazing product, creating an amazing brand, and just getting that product onto Amazon. Once it was live on Amazon, you were like, I've kind of done my job, and now I just have to stay in stock, and that's it, right? And so the focus was very much on getting to launch. Whereas I think that the focus today has shifted to, your success is a year out from launching, right? So you have to have your strategies in place. Product, brand, how do I launch? But then what am I doing beyond launch for that year to get myself into creating a successful business on Amazon? And that's understanding, your break-even points, possibly running at a loss for the first couple of months, driving your product using PPC, getting exposure, off Amazon is critical. It was then, but it was like, okay, well, you have a Shopify storefront, and you kind of figure out now you have to have a proper off Amazon strategy. And that's kind of the shift that's happened over time. And frankly, that's how it should be, because at the end of the day, we're here to create e-commerce brands. We're not here to just sell products on Amazon. And if people think about they're launching a product because they just want to sell on Amazon, they're missing the trick. It's about creating an e-commerce brand, of which one of your channels, and maybe one of your best channels, might be Amazon, but you have to have other channels around that. And if you can think of Amazon even as your lead magnets, and then have a great experience on your Shopify storefront, where you can engage with the customer and resell them on your Shopify storefront. Now you're really talking, right? And that's kind of where you want to get to. So you have to have a more holistic view of e-commerce from the get-go, and not just be like, hey, Amazon is it. Amazon is the way I'm going to launch, but I have to be beyond that. And that's where you start to really feel the power of Amazon, right? And so that's what I would say. And then from over my experience, I think what's been fascinating is seeing Amazon launch in different marketplaces, and Australia is a good example still today. What was so cool about it is it was just Amazon repeating itself in a market that it had been in before. And so you had this like 2020 hindsight of like, hey, what's actually coming up. So when it launched in Australia, Amazon built the biggest warehouse that Australia has ever seen, with great visions of building Amazon into the Australian day-to-day buying process, and expanding into New Zealand, etc. And we talked about it at those first days, and like, hey, this is where you need to be right now, because in 3 to 4 to 5 years, Amazon is best at going into a marketplace, completely disrupting the retail space with Amazon Prime, and creating a distribution that no one can match. So they're going to be the winner on the e-commerce side once Australia picked up on that. And you can go into marketplaces that are extremely competitive in the US, that are absolutely open in Australia, and within 3 to 5 years, you're going to 30x your business. That's just how it's going to be. And that's what's happening, right? Is people have got in there. Amazon has done its thing that it always does. It creates an easy, amazing process for people to buy products online and get them same day. And it's very hard for any other retail to compete with that. And you can you launch a pet product 3 years ago on Australia, you've for sure on your way to 30xing that business right now. So that's been pretty fascinating.
Yeah, and you've been like mentioning a couple of things that I think that are worth focusing on. First thing, like you and I do completely agree that nowadays Amazon should be just one basket, no, not just to have your eggs there all there, no. So we have to see e-commerce like in a more holistic way. I do definitely agree. You could be using especially Amazon, or this is what I say to our clients, for example, if they want to test the waters in another country, they can just like try Amazon first, see if it's like enough traction and enough demand, and then start like thinking about going there with like their Shopify or Magentos, whatever, PrestaShop, e-commerce, whatever. And I do agree that. And then also you mentioned about the globalization, the easy thing now that it is like through Amazon you could conquer and you could land in different markets. What's your view from a multicultural and a person who has lived in different countries? Because I'm amazed sometimes when the US general public think that, okay, we're gonna go to Europe because we have France, we have the UK, we have Germany and Spain or Italy, like secondary markets. But anyway, and they see that Europe is just like a big chunk of like thing, but then they realize that it's like a very difficult area to get in, especially in terms of like language and culture and all these little differences about taxes and all these little things. What do you reckon it could be the take for a US brand, or what's the first, second, and third thing most important to think about before going into Europe?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting area to attack, and I think the first thing that comes to mind is localization, which Americans are historically bad at, right? Is understanding cultures and systems outside of America. So localization and understanding a local culture and whether your product fits and the process of getting it into that country needs to be understood. So understanding that you need specialists to help you on that front is critical, and doing the research before you go into any market. It's the same as before there was global e-commerce. If a brand was going to go to another country, you'd spend a lot of time researching, figuring out how you were going to do it, and more importantly, you had capital behind you to be able to do that. So what I always say to American brands is, you need to be, there's a massive opportunity globally for sure, but you need to be ready with your business to go global, right? And I would say typically, the first place to start is and the best way to expand is probably launching a few brands within the current marketplace, right? So spending a year or a year, 2 years, 2.5 years in North America, growing and scaling your number of products and your number of brands, lines, and getting yourself into a position where you're ready to go global. Because with global, or with going into Europe, there's a massive expense, right? And there's inefficiencies in that whole process. All of my inventory stock, I bought a whole bunch, I moved it to Europe, but it wasn't really selling there. So what do I do with that stock? So in managing all of that, there's a lot more complications than staying in one specific market. So you have to really be ready with your business to do that. But if you bring in the right specialists and you make it a focus, you can be successful for sure. So and then obviously picking your country, your markets, how you want to distribute throughout Europe. Is Europe the right next move, or is Australia, New Zealand the right move, or even Japan? Those are all things to figure out. And Amazon is also moving a lot more in that direction. They have their global Amazon distribution system now that you can be part of, where they will let you warehouse your product and distribute it globally. So that's the direction it's going to head. Is if you have a great product and you can stay in stock and you have your systems, there are going to be better and better ways to take it globally and let specialists manage that for you. Because at the end of the day, Amazon wants to make money out of you, and if you have an awesome product, they will want you to take it global for sure.
And so now going into more detail about your tool, ZonGuru. That, by the way, where does the name come from? I'm obsessed with naming. What's the name?
There were the long version of that is Amazon Guru, right? So that was the idea. But everyone's like, oh, I've heard of Zon this, Zon that. We were the first Zon Guru or Zon whatever. But many companies followed on from that. So
okay. I'm just curious about namings. All the time. I'm always asking about this. So tell us a little bit more about the tools and Guru, and because I have been checking the tool, and I know that it's very good for listings. You have also been working with AI to produce listings as well. Tell us a bit more about this, because you also do PPC as well, no? Something related to PPC.
We do PPC reporting. We don't have a PPC automation software, but when I started ZonGuru, the idea was, hey, what are the key pain points of a seller, and what tools can we create around those pain points to solve it? So we were kind of one of the initial all-in-one software tech tools, right? So we have 18 tools at the moment. We have a lot of reporting as well outside of the tool. And we have a lot of tools around product research. So identifying, finding products, rating niches, understanding market share, niche validation. So we have a lot of strength around that area. Global niche analysis reports, looking at different marketplaces, trying to understand, hey, should I go into UK first or France or whatever it is, right? So we have a lot of tools in that area. We have a few tools, and our flagship tools are around SEO. So understanding how do you maximize your listing opportunity for traffic and conversion. And then we have you know, a lot of monitoring tools around that, financial reporting, alerts, review automation. So you know, we have a lot there, and in that it's good, but it's also quite hard to market because you don't have one specific tool to offer, right? You are that kind of all-in-one operational tool set. But the going back to kind of all of our tools, I think the ones that right now are industry leading for sure are at least, you know, one group of them is around SEO and our keyword intelligence tool and our listing optimization tool, for a number of reasons. I think our keyword intelligence tool is called Keywords on Fire, and we find keywords in a different way to most of our competitors. We don't just reverse index, hey, what are listings, what did competitor listings put in their listings and what are they indexed for. We do that, but we also look at we do a much better job of finding the localized current keywords for a marketplace. So through, you know, the data that we have, the API connections that we have, when you look at a set of our keywords versus others in the marketplace, one, you'll find a lot more relevant terms, and all the irrelevant ones we filter out. But number two, we give you the keywords that you'll see a lot of opportunity in our keywords versus other tools, like just based on what people are actually typing into Amazon, not just what everyone indexes for. And so therein lies a big competitive difference between us and other tools, and also a big advantage, because if I go back to that saying, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, right? If you're not seeding your tech or your AI with the right kind of prompts, which is in effect the most relevant, impactful, localized keywords, you're going to get a bad result, right? And so that input from our keyword intelligence into our listing tool makes it incredibly strong. And so that's one of the big reasons people use our keyword tool. The other one is we were the first to come up with the saying contextual research or contextual SEO. So we don't just tell you what are the best keywords for your listing, but we overlay your top competitors and we show you where are they strong, where are they weak, and where can you conquest them, right? So that view of having an understanding of where your competitors are focused, or more importantly, where they aren't focused, is critical in some of the strategies in terms of launching and finding opportunistic keywords you can own. And then the listing tool, we have context in that as well. So again, we don't just tell you, hey, how well is your listing optimized, but we scratch that itch where we go, okay, well, how is your listing optimized versus your competitors? If you put in the top 3 competitors on page 1, have you got a better score than them? If you don't, you should, right? And so you can see that immediately inside of the tool. You can compare your listing score versus your competitors, and you can understand from insights that you get from the tool how to improve your listing, so that you can with confidence go into the market and say, I've got my best optimized listing. I can focus on other parts of my business. And then the final piece is we were the first to integrate with ChatGPT back in January of 2023. So we've been live for over a year now with that. So we were first to market there, and we are still industry leading on that front. And we approached it from the idea that we weren't trying to create listings through AI to replace us as sellers or agencies in terms of the work that we do. We approached it from the fact that AI is a very good tool if you prompt it in the right way to get you an amazing baseline that is really well optimized in under a minute. That's what we do, right? But it's a baseline. So we give you a baseline that's typically 30% better optimized than the best listings on page 1. It's written in the right way for the algorithm and for customers, which is important. But we give you then insights around the listing, and we give you the ability to manually bring your creativity and your expertise to that listing, right? So for sellers, obviously, that whole, or agencies, that whole process of like creating a listing from scratch is handled by AI. And then you can spend your time taking that listing to the next level. Everyone should be, from a creative, from their areas of expertise. So that works really well on our side, and we continue to focus on the SEO aspect of improving listings, right? So yeah, that's a really important area, especially when it comes to European marketplaces. Having an AI tool give you a listing that makes sense, that isn't just translated words, but actually using keywords that people type into a marketplace, written in the right way, that then an expert local agency that can speak the language can use that as a baseline and improve it, is a really powerful way of taking a listing to market.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do agree that thanks to the AI tools, like or your own tool, I mean, we can sort of like have like a baseline and then post edit and tweak and sort the content, no? Because at the end of the day, if we want our brand to be cultural resonant, and be cultural relevant, we need to. I mean, we can't get rid of the experts, or I would be just like no, have no work. Anyway, related to the algorithm, because you were saying about SEO algorithms and how you are step ahead of that. What's your view on what's coming to the Amazon arena in 2024? What do you think is going to happen with A9 algorithm for Amazon? Is it still going to be like very important, like to what's going to happen with the PPC? Because I reckon that it happens the same in the US. Here in some countries in Europe, it's just like super crazy, the cost per click. So we need to rely much more on SEO. Is it going to be still SEO the big thing to focus on? What's your take on the trends coming in 2024?
Yeah, I think the one way to look at it is Amazon from a search result page, right? And the balance between organic and paid has literally always been 5 years behind where Google is, right? And so there's always a lead that you can take from where Google is going, and understanding the mistakes that Google made. And frankly, Amazon seems to be making the same mistakes, but they need to rectify it at some point, right? And Google went through that whole process with their search results where, they had organic results, and then they started to test out a couple of PPC ads. And then they realized, holy shit, excuse my French, but we can make a lot of money out of this. So let's put a whole bunch of PPC onto the page and, make it pay for play. But at some point they started to lose the value of the search results, because customers at the end of the day were trying to find things, but there wasn't the right balance between organic and paid. And if you lean too much on paid, you destroy the search experience, because customers aren't necessarily finding organically what they want to find, right? Which at the end of the day is still a really strong play, because you have to, through your search results page, surface the best, most unique, better quality new products that customers are trying to find, right? And so in terms of Amazon, they're still going through that process. I mean, we kept thinking, why hasn't Amazon really doubled down on the paid side of it? Because Google has made so much money out of it. And eventually, Amazon caught on to the idea, and a year and a half, 2 years ago, they really started to push on the pay for play. It's moving towards a place of being, almost too expensive for sellers, right? Where it's eating into your margin, because it is pay for play, which is not good for Amazon, because they have to look after their sellers, their third-party sellers. And then, it's also starting to cloud the results for customers, right? Where they're trying to find products, and they're like, half of page one is just ads, right? So and people have big budgets who aren't relevant. So, they need to find the balance right. And I'm confident they will, because at the end of the day, Amazon makes money if they look after number one, their customers by surfacing the best new, creative, amazing products to their audience. If they don't do that, they're going to lose resonance in the marketplace. And secondly, they need to look after their sellers, because if they eat too much of their margin, they're going to look elsewhere, right? And it's already happening in a lot of places. So, I'm pretty confident Amazon will get that right. If they don't, they're not going to last as long as they hope, right? So they have to get that right and that balance. So, we just need to navigate that over the next while. And in terms of the algorithm, that's going to be, there's going to be a major shift. It's already happening, but there will be a major shift throughout probably late 2024, I would say, and 2025 and on, because of AI, right? And people need to understand first that AI has always been around, but through ChatGPT and through where AI is going, it is much more consumer orientated, and the intelligence is much higher. And the first thing that will start to change is going to be the customer search experience. So, just like we interact with ChatGPT, we could ask it questions, it brings back results. You ask it a few more questions, it improves its answers. That kind of interface will be built into our search experience. So you're not just typing in, the name of a product. You can talk about, like, hey, find me the best products for this experience. I'm going camping, based on my account, my account history. Tell me what are the best kind of things that I should be looking at, right? So you have a much more intelligent search platform that can return results not only for a specific product, but maybe for an experience or whatever. So those kind of true search experiences are going to change, and what gets recommended around the activity or the product that you're looking for, based on its personal understanding of you and your likes and dislikes or whatever. So that is all going to change for sure, and it's already changing. And then on the other side, on the algorithm, of course, how it surfaces you as a product or a brand does change, and it's not just based on the keyword that you have in your listing, but there's some semantic aspects to it. So the AI is self-learning, and it understands, like, hey, you might not be indexed for these keywords, but actually you should be, and so we'll surface you for these, right? So what does that mean for us as sellers, as brands? The first thing is, keeping your finger on the pulse, right? With change comes opportunity, right? So that's obviously the first thing, and being able to shift and change quickly is important. But number two, at the end of the day, like, the AI needs a prompt, right? It's the same as it is today. You have to prompt the AI, so you have to guide the AI. So how you create your listing, and the keywords that you put in there is going to be a prompt for your AI to, and how you drive your PPC and what keywords you convert on are all prompts for your AI. So you still have to do the same stuff that you do today. And then the other thing for sellers is the importance always is going to shift to the same thing it always has, which is, like, if you have a great product and you have a great brand, you're going to do well. So, everything else around that is marketing tactics to try and get yourself into a better position, because maybe you don't have such a good product. So if you have a good product and you've done your research and you double down on that, the rest is pretty straightforward, right? When you don't get that right, that's when it becomes a challenge.
Because at the end of the day, what Amazon want is just like for the sellers to sell products, and that happens when you've got like a very big and a nice brand and product and everything. I hadn't thought about this search generative experience that is happening with Google, like translating or transposing itself into Amazon. But that's a very interesting way of, like, thinking, and I do agree that it might go that way. I mean, I'm very curious about what it's gonna look like Amazon with that generative experience already happening in Google.
They're so far behind where Google is. I mean, now you can day part your ads on Amazon, right? You can serve your ads at certain parts of the day. Amazon, Google's been doing that for, I don't know, it must be 7 years now or 8
Yeah,
years.
yeah, forever.
They still don't have geo positioning ads. Like, hey, based on your location, you can serve ads. Google's been doing that for years, right? So, even on the PPC side, they're not even caught up with where Google is, right? And so you can kind of see that the path of where they will be going. So it's not going to be a surprise when Amazon goes, hey, you can geolocate your ads to a specific city. It's like, okay, well, that's nothing new, man.
Yeah, and and I also do agree about the semantics now, which is really interesting whenever you are drafting a very nice listing. Even nowadays, although the algorithm is not yet there, but I think it's very interesting to include like synonyms and related words that are relating to your keywords. No, so that's and sounding human and like very culturally resonant. No, I think that's the key to me to nowadays listing, and as you were saying, maybe as future listings. No, just to finish off, John, because you say that now you're based in the US, but you've got clients all over the world, I reckon. How do you market yourself internationally? What's your own process of internationalization? Do you have like a multi-cultural team, people in different countries? Do you go to face-to-face events? Do you have like a relationships manager? What's your cross-border strategy for your own brand?
Yeah, it's I think SEO, organic organic placement is in content has been critical over the years, right? And you could do SEO for specific marketplaces, right? So that's been a strong positioning for us and a strategy. Certainly inbound PPC, marketing in different countries has worked for us, and then obviously partners. So having partners with the same ICP that you have and bringing with a different product and doing joint webinars, being part of communities. These have all been pretty good for us, right? So, and that's what's cool about Amazon is that just because you're marketing in a different country doesn't mean they're using the tech for that country. They might be using, they live in Australia. They've never seen the manufacturer who they buy their product from, and they've never seen one of their customers that they sell to in the US, right? That's Amazon. It's just you can literally be worth millions and never touch your products, right? Which is actually crazy.
Yeah. Okay, John, just to finish off, I'm going to ask you my two common questions. First one, could you tell us an anecdote that could be funny or not so funny, personal or professional, about a miscommunication situation that happened because of culture change or culture differences or language barriers, something related to multilingual communication?
I think for us, for me, travel, right? I guess a good example is Berlin, going out in Berlin, coming from LA, you arrive in Berlin, and you go to your hotel room, you get dressed up as you would in the US to go out to the nightclubs, and you get stopped at the front desk by the nice staff, and they say, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "You don't go out in Berlin like this. You're too overdressed. Go and take off all of that bling and wear your black sweatpants and your understated version, and then you can get into the club. You're not getting like this, right?" And that's just the way it is. And actually, it's similar to listings, right? If we did a test, if you take a US written listing with all its salesmanship and everything in it, and you put it in the US, you will sell products. But you take that translated listing with the same tone, put it on the market in Germany, and you're going to sell nothing, right? Because it's just, you know, Germans are matter of fact, and they want you straight to the point, and you need to tell them, you know, how it is, and not put in all the salesmanship. So, you know, there's very differences in cultures like that.
Yeah, cultural differences, you know, this is key. And the very last one, if you had to invite someone to participate in this podcast, someone related and to cross borders or globalization, someone with a very interesting story, who would you invite? So maybe I could reach out and say, hey, Jon Tilley told me to invite you.
If you do that, I'll be very impressed. The immediate person that comes to mind would be Richard Branson, right? So I think, you know, he's just created a global brand, and also, you know, has a lot of passion for different cultures and different countries, and you know, he's South Africa is one of them that he enjoys a lot. But you know, his brand does a really good job of embedding themselves into the localized cultures, just because he has such a passion for global experience, right? So you know, and yeah, I mean, obviously his stories are just insane. So, you know, go ask him, tell him that I asked him to come on the podcast. It'd be great. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, thank you. And if you don't mind, and I can give you a link to this, but we have a pretty cool free growth audit. So you know, obviously, if anybody wants to find us, they can go to ZonGuru.com. But we also have this 2024 growth audit. You have to qualify to get it, because it takes quite a lot of you know, effort from our team to analyze your business. But I'll give you a link to it, and you know, anyone who's an established seller, you know, doing beyond $1 million on any Amazon platform can request the audit, and we'll do a deep dive and really kind of show you, you know, the delta between what your current sales are and what you can actually access, what's obtainable in terms of your market share and your revenue potential, based on a deeper analysis on your PPC and your search volume and your keywords that you index for, and you know, what can you actually access with a few strategic changes. So it's a really valuable audit. As I said, it's free, and it's not for everyone there. You have to qualify. So there's just a form, you fill it out, and if you qualify, we'll go ahead and do that audit for you, and just help you grow your business into 2024.
Okay, fantastic. So I'll add that up to the description boxes of Spotify, eBooks, YouTube, whatever, and also your contact. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you. So thank you very much, Jon. It's been a pleasure.
Oscar, thank you so much. It's been a great interview. Appreciate it.
Bye. Bye-bye.